It was the first game that really took a systemic approach rather than a scripted approach to interactions. What that meant was instead of the designer determining how every problem or challenge would be overcome, the player could decide how to do that. Players got to show how clever and creative they were rather than designers doing it. That was a revelation.
A lot of modern adventure games have gone in the direction of really trying to script tighter and tighter moments so that everything is very carefully crafted. And that's great, but it's not what we first came to love in our pen and paper RPGs, where we'd sit around the table and we just kind of improvise with our DM. And that's a kind of story that we would like to hear more from our players. We want to have the kind of experience in video games that we always loved having with our friends. All of this posed a challenge for us when we were trying to put our video together and trying to figure out how to show you what these kinds of choices were like. We can't show you all of the possibilities of the way a situation might have gone. So instead, we decided to focus on setting up some situations that might have seemed conventional at first, had obvious solutions to them, and show you some surprising solutions to those situations to suggest the idea that the player can improvise. So in the scene where you see the wizard running away from the spiders, he's got just the one spell left. He can't take on all those spiders. What is he going to do? You know, he runs away over the bridge. I can't take out all these spiders, but I can take out that bridge.
This, of course, leaves us with a whole new problem. There's loot on the other side of this chasm that I still want. How am I going to get that? I'm friendly with the dwarves, so maybe I enlist their help and get the bridge rebuilt. Sorry I blew that up. Or, as a wizard, I learn a mind control spell and take over the minds of these spiders and have them carry me across the roof of the chasm.
With the scene of the thief on the island confronted with a horrible tentacled monster, we figured we didn't really need to show you that you could fight the monster. You know, in a fantasy role-playing game, you probably know that you can fight monsters, right? So we wanted to show what happens when that's the type of character who isn't really focusing on that approach. Maybe they're not the greatest warrior, but they're nimble. You know, they've worked on their jumping and acrobatic skills. They can avoid the monster, go over to this apparatus that's attached nearby, and do the swashbuckling move to escape instead. We hope that you're imagining the way that your character in a role-playing game might have handled them differently instead, that you have your own ideas about the kind of experience that you want to have. And our goal is to allow you to do that, to put together a system where all of you, with all your different answers to the questions, are all right.
You really get the sense that you're in a real place, not that you're in a cartoony or gamey space, but that you're in a space that reflects what you know of the real world, even if you're interacting with dwarves and elves and other fantasy creatures. There are always reasons why the world looks and feels the way it does. There are reasons why characters in that world respond to you and to each other the way they do.
So what this means is that your actions as a player will have consequences on the kinds of encounters you might have, the kinds of conversations you might have. The things that you do in the world will affect what kinds of animals might thrive in the underworld, what kinds of things you'll see later, how the environment around you will develop. The things that you do are things that the characters that you encounter are going to have opinions about, not just that they'll give you quests, and if you go fetch them a hamburger, they'll give you a quest item, but that they watch the way that you approach playing the game. And they have things that they think are good and things that they think are bad.